Llansakes is another typical Bob Purvis story. He's down at Gravenhurst. His friend Herm Heitzman, actually I think he talked Herm into buying it. Herm was fairly well off. Herm he knew from before the war. I think the Herman had been at UCC or somewhere else, got kicked out a number of times, ended up at Jarvis Collegiate, and my father knew him from Jarvis Collegiate. But at any rate, Herm's family had this farm up in Thornhill, and when the war started, they used to be able to get gasoline because it was rationed everywhere else, but farms could get gasoline. It had a purple dye in it, apparently, so you'd know when it was. So there was all these motorcycles around Moore Park that had purple dye on stuff. Herm was a character, and my father taught him to fly and that sort of thing. But he talked Herm into buying Gravettes, and this was before Bruce Wilson owned it. Would have been, I don't know how long Herm had it. Went to see Herm one day, and this boat came in. I guess it would have been Miss Sweeney. Traded it in on a Gravette inboard out. One of the first ones they did, that was a Flash, which were a nice little boat. I said, what's that boat doing here? He said, oh, well, we just took it as a trade. Well, what the hell to do with it? I said, well, what did you give her for it? Well, we gave her $1,500 for it. He says, will you sell it? Oh, yeah, great. So he phones my mother, and Betty, get down here with a check. Going to buy the boat for $1,500. Well, of course, I don't think there was $1,500 in any kind of bank account they had. So he calls Bob Quigley, his friend that Ian knows was neighbor, and very well. And he was a customer of my father's as well. Bob, you need a boat. You've got an extra slip that hasn't been filled. It's been sitting there empty for 2 years now. You need a boat. I found a great boat for us. For us, right? So Bob bought the boat. My father paid for half of it eventually, and it was sat over at Quigley's for 2 years. Then it came here, and my father bought the rest of the boat. This boathouse, the center part was a little slip that came over from Arthurlie Bay years ago, but then this lean-to was put on this for the Llansakes. Miss Sweeney was from Landlar. That family the boat was built for them by the Bornemans. It was used very regularly as almost a utility boat, and that it went shopping, it went and picked up people. It was a good boat. When we got it, it had a Kermath in it, which Ed tells me was put in the 40s. There was an engine, I think that might have been the third engine. There was an engine in it that was replaced the original, or it may have been the original, but in the 30s, early 30s, there was a fire and the foredecks were replaced. Otherwise, it's pretty much, certainly the cockpit's all original, and the hardware and everything. The sides, I don't know if they've ever been done. They might be original too. I think it's the third bottom. We put a new bottom on 10 years ago. As you experience today, it's a bit tippy because it's a round sort of displacement bottom. It's actually built quite similar to a canoe or a rowboat with ribs and chinked in copper nails and that sort of thing. But it's a lovely old boat. It's a fun boat. Doesn't go too quick. As Buddy and I used to say when we were going somewhere in it, we'll be there, don't worry. We can only get 18 with the wind out of her. So the engine is now, the Kermath died. We had another Kermath, we were going to put the two of them together, and we were told by a mechanic at the time who took them both apart that it wasn't worth it. And we ended up buying this Buchanan through Dukes, who actually found it for us, and it turned out, as we know, as I think I related a story about the Wanda, when the Conservancy was helping raise funds for the Wanda, we had John Eaton here, and he came over with Tim Chisholm, because he was staying at Tim's place. And they were looking at the boat. They actually came over to see the Fancy Lady because Tim had the Black Knight, a sister ship. And he looked in here and he saw the engine. He said, "My God, that's our engine." And he saw an exhaust flange that was put on there, a big copper exhaust flange. He says, "Oh, we had that done in 1957 or something like that for our, whatever it was, Brew boat that went out to the island with us." So fun stories that go back, and they interconnected, all these interconnected things in Muskoka, you know. But anyway, that's the story of the Llansakes.